thank Mr. KDS Seshasai and Dr. Anita Madan for their hard work in making this day possible. It's my pleasure to introduce them to you. Mr. Seshasai, CEO of Pre-K Division at Lighthouse Learning, has over 24 years of experience across industries, including leadership roles at Wipro, Tata, and Zeta. His vision has guided EuroKids to new heights in early education. Dr. Anita Madan, our Head of Curriculum Development, brings 29 years of educational experience and a deep understanding of today's needs. She holds 3 master's degrees and a doctorate in curriculum development. Mr. Sesasai and Dr. Madan will now share EuroKids' journey, our plans for the future, and the new curriculum that will strengthen our brand.
Very good morning to all our friends from the media, all the eminent journalists who are here today for this press meet. We're here to talk about the latest curriculum that we are launching for EuroKids. Uh, EuroKids is a part of a larger group, education group, and the name of this group is Lighthouse Learning Private Limited. Lighthouse Learning is predominantly in the field of core education. So we run schools and preschools across the country with multiple brands. So we have EuroKids, EuroSchool, Kangaroo Kids, Billabong High International School. We have Centerpoint schools in Nagpur, and in the NCR region, Heritage Experiential School is part of the Lighthouse Learning Group. So we have grown in size and impact over the years, and we see our role, we see our task as contributing to nation building, because education is a very core skill. India has always been a country where parents are very, very keen on giving the highest quality of education to their children. And that is the task and that is the effort that we contribute in with all the brands that we have in Lighthouse Learning. So before I go any further, I'd like to show you a short video on Lighthouse Learning as we start this conversation around EuroKids and the next iteration of its curriculum. Can you please play the video? I'll just spend 30 seconds talking about our purpose, our vision, and the mission of Lighthouse Learning. Purpose at Lighthouse Learning is to unlock human potential by igniting the love for learning. There are so many eminent economists and eminent people who say very clearly that the task of nation building starts from education. And not just any kind of education, but high quality education. And our purpose really is to unlock human potential by igniting the love for learning, which is what we do in our schools and our preschools. Our vision is to reinvent learning through our innovative curriculum, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in the subsequent slides. Developed and delivered by passionate educators, we have our own in-house curriculum teams which develop curriculum. Uh, we don't buy curriculum from outside. We develop our curriculum inside the organization. And this curriculum is developed by very passionate educators and delivered by very high quality teachers across our schools and preschools. And increasingly, we are, embracing cutting edge technology to make life easy for our students, our teachers, and our franchise partners as well. Our mission is to ignite the love for learning in 1 million children. Currently, across the 53 schools and close to 1,700 preschools that we have across the country, about lakh and 75,000 children come to our institutions on a daily basis. We want to take that number from a lakh and 75,000 to close to a million children. And the reason we want to do that, it's not a business target, but it is an objective of taking the strength of the Lighthouse Learning Group to as many children as possible. So that's really our mission. If we talk about EuroKids, talking about EuroKids has now grown to be one of the largest brands in the preschool sector. We currently have 1,600 preschools spread across 400 plus cities of India. We've been in the preschool sector for more than 23 years, since 2001. We're very proud to say that 60 to 80% of our preschools are run by women entrepreneurs. So, the fact that we are enabling and supporting women entrepreneurship is also a matter of great pride to us. We also employ close to 12,000 teachers across our 1,600 preschools. And, we've spent close to 1,70,000 hours in curriculum research. So, EuroKids is a very large and a very impactful brand in the preschool sector. And given the fact that the government has, through NEP 2020, really talked about the importance of early childhood education, and they have also spoken about universal access to early childhood education for all as part of NEP 2020.
Thinking curriculum, let's try and understand what is visible thinking. So visible thinking is again a research-based approach which was started in 1967 at the Harvard University. So Dr. Ron Richard, who's a researcher, did research on how children study in the classroom and which tools really help them. So visible thinking also makes the children's thinking be visible. So there's a scope for giving them expression of their thinking. And the tool that we give them is called a thinking routine. So let's understand what thinking routines are. They are the tool series of steps, set of questions that are asked in the classroom for the children to engage with the topic. So I'll also play Dr. Ron Richards' video who talks about these tools that are thinking routines on which he researched at the Harvard University.
Thinking routines. And so thinking routines are simple structures which teachers use to help scaffold and support their students. And the idea of thinking routines actually came from some early research that I did studying teachers who were really effective. And those teachers didn't teach thinking skills lessons. Instead, they had routines and structures which they used over and over again. So we really kind of developed that idea of thinking routines over several years. What makes a thinking routine powerful in what we surround it are things that the teachers are probably already doing. So one is the importance of questioning. So we question to help make students think invisible. Ask a lot of what we call facilitative questions, which are questions that kind of follow up on a student's response. So we might say, well, what makes you say that? As a way of getting, the understanding behind an answer that students have given them. And of course, then the kind of companion side to questioning is listening. Students aren't going to make their thinking visible to us unless we are listening to them. And so by being good listeners, by taking an interest in being curious about our students, we actually can get a window into their thinking. We want to think about them as tools that we use. So the first step in using a thinking routine is to identify, okay, I've got this piece of content, and what is the thinking that I need students to be doing with that content? That one of our kind of core principles that we keep coming down to is learning is a consequence of thinking. So learning doesn't happen when teachers deliver content, because students could be listening, they could be distracted, nothing could happen. They're only going to be learning if they do something with that content, if they think with that content. So we don't want to leave that thinking to chance. Significant to kind of get an idea about the idea of routines is, it is by using thinking routines, it is the thinking that becomes routine. So by using a routine, like see, they wonder, what students get really good at is they get really good at noticing and going beyond the surface and looking deeply. They get really good at wondering and asking questions. And that is kind of the crux of the matter in terms of why we find the thinking routine so powerful, is it is developing students as lifelong learners and thinkers.
So if I could just summarize what he said learning happens is a consequences of thinking. So we allow the children to think because we give them time to engage with the content. So when we are doing any activity in the class, we make it a point that each child observes the thing, then thinks about it and asks a lot of questions on it. So that makes us skillful thinkers, because we want actually thinkers. So engaging with the content makes skillful thinkers. Also, it creates a culture of thinking in the classroom, because the teacher then starts valuing what the children say. She gives them an opportunity to talk about what is happening in the classroom. These are the list of 20 thinking routines that we do in the classroom, and we explain each one of them to the children, and they can use it in any subject inside the classroom, at the same time outside the classroom, because these tools are easily transferable. Even an adult can use these tools to develop their thinking skills. There are a couple of reasons why we are doing thinking routine in the classroom is because there is deeper understanding of the content. The child is spending too much time with the content. He's connecting what he sees to how he thinks, and therefore there is deeper understanding. There is critical thinking because we allow them to ask questions, evaluate, synthesize the content. The children are curious, so they will ask a lot of questions, and this leverages their thinking skills. We may want our children to be metacognitive. So thinking about their own thinking is the skill that we are developing. Such children become aware of themselves and also use these strategies in life outside the classroom also. We are trying to build a culture of thinking in the classroom, because it's not rote learning that we want our children to do. We want them to think and understand, and therefore the culture is built in the classroom. Children are coming with a lot of differentiations. Some are fast learners, some are slow learners. Learning styles are different. These thinking routine caters to their learning style. We allow them to articulate their thoughts. So communication, social skills, where they are listening to peers of their age group, showing empathy towards them. Passive learning is not possible, so visible thinking transforms their passive learning to active learning, because they're engaging and expressing with the content. Holistic development, because all domains of development, social, emotional, intellectual domains are catered to. New culture, new growth set, new mindset. We want them to develop their thinking, because the skills that are required for the 21st generation are different. So these skills are developed in the children, and overall it goes with the philosophy of joyful learning. So we always focus that the children are engaged and enjoy their learning and express themselves while learning, so the experience is different. So it focuses a lot on the joyful experience of learning. We are shifting the child's mindset from what to think to how to think. We want them to start thinking about the content and not on the content. So this is a big shift that we want them to do. We want them to start thinking, and this is how we are going to be developing that in our curriculum. through the pillars of, through the philosophy of epics, where it is emotional quotient, physical quotient, intellectual quotient, creative quotient, and spiritual quotient, and 13 different programs that we have in our curriculum. So,
at EuroKids, we believe that preparing them for the future requires a curriculum that is as dynamic and forward-thinking as they are. As Alvin Toffler wisely stated, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Our commitment to continuous curriculum evolution is fueled by this vision of a future where children are not just prepared but empowered to adapt and grow. We began our journey in 2001 with a foundation in Playway and Montessori, fostering a love for learning through exploration and discovery. In 2003, we extended our program to kindergarten. In 2005, we recognized the importance of physical development and creative expression, introducing EuroGym and EuroMusic. 2009 saw the curriculum embrace learning by doing, encouraging hands-on experiences and practical life skills. In 2011, we shifted towards learning through inquiry, promoting critical thinking and problem-solving abilities. By 2015, the focus expanded to learning through experience, emphasizing self-regulation and executive function skills. And in 2019, we integrated learning with mindful practices, nurturing emotional intelligence and well-being. Each iteration of our curriculum has been a proactive response to the shifting needs of children and the demands of an ever-changing world. In a world of constant change, one thing remains certain: the power of education to shape the future. At EuroKids, we are committed to providing an education that empowers children to not just adapt to change, but to lead it.
So that's really the journey of the curriculum at EuroKids. We've gone through 7 iterations of the curriculum, and with each iteration, we've built upon the strengths of the previous curriculum, and now we are ready to launch the 8th iteration of the curriculum. And the 8th iteration of the curriculum is called Heureka. Heureka is the name of the new version of our curriculum, and we call it the visible thinking curriculum. What is the meaning of Heureka? Heureka is a word which doesn't exist in the dictionary. It's a word that we have coined, but it consists of 2 parts: heuristic plus Eureka. What is heuristic? Heuristic is enabling someone to discover or learn something for themselves, which is what we do inside our classrooms. We don't force feed our children. We don't stuff their heads full of knowledge. What we do is we create an environment in which they can learn for themselves. And Eureka, we all know, is the aha moment. And inside our preschools, children are constantly having these aha moments because given the environment that we create, they're constantly learning something.